Well, thanks so much for joining me today for episode 14 of Season 4 of the Healthy Skeptic MD podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Hochman. We are winding down the fourth season of the Healthy Skeptic, almost at the holiday season. We'll take a couple weeks off, but we have a couple great episodes before then, including today's Thanksgiving special, where we're going to focus a program that will hopefully leave you inspired and feeling grateful going into this Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And that is the Skid Row Run Club, which is a program that uses running as a mechanism to help those experiencing homelessness and addiction challenges overcome those challenges and get themselves back on the right path. And I'm very happy and proud to say that I have been a member of the Skid Row Run Club as a participant the last 9 months. Been really fun to run with the group, and I was actually able to do the LA Marathon, something I never would have otherwise done had it not been for the friendship and those the support of those in the group. So really personally been a great addition to my life this past year. I also want to acknowledge and thank the SCAN Group and SCAN Health Plan for funding and supporting the Healthy Skeptic MD podcast. SCAN Health Plan is the largest independent nonprofit Medicare plan in California. It has a long track record of helping vulnerable populations, including particularly the frail elderly, but also in the last year, increasingly vulnerable homeless populations. So the work of the Skid Row Run Club does dovetail nicely with SCAN's mission. My guests today are two members, key leaders of the Skid Row Run Club, both friends of mine over the last 9 months. The first is truly an inspiring person, Judge Craig Mitchell of the Los Angeles Superior Court system. He was an English teacher before he went into law, and he founded the Skid Row Run Club in 2012, and I'll tell you about how that all came about. And my second guest is someone with a great personal story, Mr. Eric Barrera, who himself struggled with addiction challenges and homeless issues, and running was one of the tools he used to overcome that. He is now a board member of the Skid Row Run Club and is doing a great job helping others who are currently experiencing homelessness and addiction challenges move on and get their life back on track. And one way he is doing this is he recently accepted a position as the lead peer navigator for Healthcare in Action, the medical group I lead, which is also within the SCAN umbrella of companies. So happy to have him join us today and tell us about his work and his journey. And again, it's a really inspiring story. If you do leave today's episode wanting to support the Skid Row Run Club, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, you can donate by going to their website, skidrowrunningclub.com. Another great way to support them is there's actually an excellent documentary called The Skid Row Marathon, which can be found on Amazon, on Apple TV, and also on Vimeo on demand. A lot of people really love the documentary. So great episode to watch over the Thanksgiving holiday, the weekend, if you have a chance. And the good news is that the proceeds, a good amount of the proceeds do go to support the club. So it's a great way to do something fun and also support a good cause. If you do find today's episode engaging, please do search and subscribe to the Healthy Skeptic MD wherever you listen to podcasts. Pass it along to friends, family, and others who might be interested. And we're going to skip the news summary today because it's such a great topic. We'll jump right into our interview with Judge Craig Mitchell and Eric Barrera.
Well, welcome to the Healthy Skeptic MD podcast. Very honored to be joined today by Judge Craig Mitchell and Eric Barrera.
Thanks for having us. Mike.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to begin with you, Judge Mitchell. You have such an interesting background. Before you became a lawyer and then a judge, you were actually a teacher. Can you just give us a little bit of background about how you ended up where you are now?
When I got out of college, I was tired of the academic, and I wanted to see what I could do, sort of at the ground level. And I thought that teaching would be an appropriate place to really work with students in a way that might be of benefit to them. And so I started teaching in South Central Los Angeles, and I planned on going to law school shortly thereafter, but I enjoyed teaching so much, I stayed for 17 years. And finally, I extricated myself from that profession in 1994 and became a prosecutor. Then 11 years later, was appointed by the governor to the Superior Court bench.
So you mentioned that you were a prosecutor and now are a superior court judge. You do a lot of criminal law. At what point did you decide that you wanted to sort of help vulnerable populations before they got into the criminal justice system?
I guess my initial interest, certainly in pursuing the criminal law, was, my experience teaching, where on occasion, tragically, I would have to go to one of my students' funeral because they were the victims of street violence here in Los Angeles. I also had students of mine who were incarcerated, who were the perpetrators of that violence. And so I saw both sides of it. And I gravitated ultimately to the district attorney's office because I wanted to be of some help to the victims of crime. And it was a good fit.
And there's many potential ways that you could have gone about this, various programs and services that you could have started. And you chose to start a program, a run club for this group of population. Where did that idea come from?
It came from two sources. Number one, I knew how important running was for my own physical and mental well-being. And to be able to share that with the community that, was crying out for that type of help, it made sense. I also read an article in Runner's World many years back where a woman on the East Coast had started a running program for ex-cons.
Well, I think the three of us have all, really appreciate and get that running. I tell you, when I'm having a bad day or a challenge in my life, one of the best ways to work through it for me personally is running. So it makes a lot of sense that populations that are struggling with these issues would benefit. Eric, you also found running to be compelling. How long have you been interested in this sport?
Around 2017, I was about 4 years sober, and I felt like these mental health symptoms coming back into my life, feeling suicidal, sluggish, overweight. I knew I didn't want to drink and use anymore, but I didn't want to live sober anymore. But I knew that running was a solution, and I didn't have accountability. I wasn't going to go put my running shoes on by myself every day. There was just more days that I didn't. And running has really balanced that out for me. And it was in 2018 was when I met the Skid Row Running Club, and my life is just I got accountability there. People are counting on me to show up, and I look forward to seeing all those people that I count on showing up for me as well.
So we're going to talk in a moment about the Skid Row Run Club, which is what you discovered in 2017, 2018. You're doing great now. You are a peer navigator, a community health worker for the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, helping a lot of people who are currently homeless and have substance use issues. Really excited that you're joining our team at Healthcare in Action to be doing our work and helping our homeless medical group. But it hasn't always been so smooth. Do you mind sharing a little bit about some of the bumps you dealt with getting to where you are now?
Well, so I struggled with substance abuse for about 19 years. I came from a loving family, but alcoholism runs rampant through my family, and I was no exception. I drank a lot, and I was a drunk driver, and I jeopardized a lot of people's lives. I remember my cousin telling me, he said, "Man, you're going to end up in prison one day for killing someone and not even remember doing it." And, my solution to, I care about people. The last thing that I would ever want to do was hurt an innocent person that was trying to get to work or something. And so my best thinking at the time was that I was going to keep cocaine or methamphetamines on me so that I didn't black out anymore while I was drinking. And that worked for a little bit, but I wasn't, you couldn't count on me to be on time anywhere. I couldn't keep my word. And little by little, I just started losing jobs, and I burned bridges, and I ended up homeless.
And if you don't mind my asking, how long were you living on the streets?
I was homeless for about 6 years, and I was, my family tried to help me, my friends tried to help me, and I lived with family and friends and in garages and cars and, on the streets. And I finally asked for help. I knew I had a problem. And so I went to the VA. I went to the Marine Corps after high school, and I didn't know I had these VA benefits. So I went to the VA. Someone told me about the VA programs. I went to the VA, and they let me do a residential treatment program called New Directions for Veterans. And I didn't think I was an alcoholic at the time. I thought I was only a drug addict, and I continued to drink, and I relapsed on meth and heroin and alcohol. And I remember I had been in treatment for a few months at the time, and I remember hearing that this is a progressive illness. We get worse, never better. And when I saw myself relapsed on meth, heroin, and alcohol, I realized, like, whoa, that's me. I'm getting worse. I'm not getting any better. And I learned that if I could stay away from that first drink, that maybe I can stay sober. And so today, I'm active in my sobriety. I have a sponsor. I have sponsees, and I really try to encourage people to come and speak on these panels with me in treatment centers. That way, it kind of changes roles. We go from needing help to being able to help people. And I think that's a game changer for us, is being able to change roles from service recipients to service providers.
Such a great story, Eric. And, I've been able to see from working with you that you're able to connect with clients who are homeless in a way that those of us who don't have that firsthand lived experience just can't. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but I want to get back to the Skid Row Run Club. So, Judge Mitchell, can you tell us, for those not familiar, what is the Skid Row Run Club, and when did you found it?
Skid Row Running Club started very humbly about 10 years ago. And it was prompted by me going down to the midnight mission on Skid Row and being asked if there was something I could do to contribute to their recovery program. And so I volunteered to start a running program. On a good day, maybe 4 runners would join me. And slow but sure, the program has evolved and grown beyond my wildest expectations. But, sort of going back to Eric's recovery, what makes the Skid Row Running Club so important in the lives of people who are trying to overcome addiction and maintain their sobriety is as Eric said, the accountability. We are a community. Some of us are great runners. Some of us are anything but great runners. But what unites all of us is a shared experience 3 times a week, Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, where you are surrounded by people who really care about you. And if you are facing challenges, perhaps you're questioning your ability to remain clean, you've got people who are going to support you. It's the same phenomenon as why AA and NA meetings are essential to people in the 12-step recovery program. You're just with people who understand your circumstance and people who want you to succeed. And, at its most fundamental level, that's what the Skid Row Running Club is about. We go about it by running marathons, going overseas to run, but it's really about the human connections that we enjoy with one another.
Well, I completely agree. I find it probably the most fun part of my week when I get to go out with the club, and it's meaningful in a way that other social things I do isn't, because it really feels like a give and a take, and everyone's getting something out of it from being part of that community. Eric, how did you come across the Skid Row Run Club, and when did you meet Judge Mitchell?
Back in 2017, 2018, I went into this running shoe store called Run With Us here in Pasadena, and I bought a pair of running shoes, and I was looking for a group of folks to run with for some accountability, and I saw a flyer for the Skid Row Running Club. The guy let me know what dates and times they run, and I was working downtown at DMH at the time. I remember my first day running with the club, me and my dog Mundo, and I couldn't make the route. I wasn't in shape, and a buddy of ours, Mario Ocampo from the running club, he said, "Don't worry, man, I'll show you the shortcut, and we'll get back on time." So we did.
And Mundo has become a bona fide member of the club. He's your service dog, right, Eric?
Yes, yeah. He loves club meetings. He loves Judge Mitchell's Dog Scout, and everyone loves him.
The other thing I'll say, Eric, you've made a lot of progress both in your life and with running, and you've done how many marathons now?
Probably 4 marathons. 4 marathons.
That's great. And you're a board member of the Skid Row Run Club now.
Yes, something I take a lot of, such an honor and a privilege to be on the board of the Skid Row Running Club.
Mike, I hope you understand, Eric was selected to be a board member because he has some just natural capabilities, the ability to connect with people, the willingness to extend himself above and beyond whenever asked, even when he's not asked. There is a giving nature in Eric that is hard to find, whether you're you're dealing with people in recovery or not. And he just really brings a tremendous amount to the people who are in our program.
Well, he really is a unique person because you're a different person than you were, 10 years ago, and you totally turned your life around, but you're still able to relate to people in that, put yourself back in their shoes. And I see it, in the other club members that you interact with and the clients you work with during your day job, which is why this peer navigator role is such an important one. Could you talk a little bit about, the role of peer navigators?
Yeah. So this is, as a peer navigator with healthcare in action, this is new to me, but prior to that, being a community health worker, so DMH, the Department of Mental Health, has a wellness outreach worker program where clients who are showing a lot of progress, they bring them on as volunteers so that maybe someone else who is new into recovery or dealing with mental health issues can see that we do get better. DMH asked me if I wanted to volunteer. I did. I was running around with a psychologist that would take me with her to go meet her patients, and I was pretty transparent with them, letting them know that I was also homeless. I just got into project-based housing. I'm sober for a couple of years, and that this program is great. So I would try to encourage people to come into the program. Being able to change roles from a service recipient to a service provider, it's huge. It's like a butterfly, leaving a cocoon. It's just amazing.
And I think that's what's so powerful about the Skid Row Run Club is it's made up of so many people who themselves have pulled themselves out of those depths and are able to give back. And it's really a two-way street. How has the Skid Row Run Club, Eric, been helpful in helping you maintain your recovery?
Physical health and mental health, just they go hand in hand. But in recovery, I go to a lot of meetings, and we don't I don't go running or working. I don't go and work out with people that I go to meetings with. A lot of the times we just share that recovery. We have that in common, that we're just trying to stay sober. And with the running club, we have a lot more in common. We have, that we all enjoy the benefits of living sober and living healthy, our community, being part of this community, having mentors. There's people from all different walks of life in this running club, and to have friends like Judge Mitchell, or to have friends that are primary care doctors, that's not normal for people like us who were homeless and that had drug and alcohol problems, but it's normal in this running club, and it's amazing.
And Judge Mitchell, what does it mean to you when you hear stories like Eric of, the benefits the club has had on people?
Being involved with people like Eric, at this point in my life, it's probably one of the most meaningful things I have ever done in my 65 years on this planet. And, if I had done nothing else, if I hadn't taught, if I hadn't been an attorney, if I hadn't raised a family, if I had contributed in some way to helping the people in the Skid Row Running Club, my life would have been worthwhile. And so, the amazing thing that I look back on is, 11 years ago, I had no idea that this experience would be right around the corner. And for it to come into fruition and now occupy a great deal of my time, it's one of those things that, if you are open to opportunities, if you are always, on the lookout for a way to connect with other people, maybe make a contribution, some amazing things happen. And, Eric and I are not just members of a running club. And I can say this with so many of the people in our program. We have a deep friendship with one another. And at the end of the day, I think that's really what matters.
No, I think that's very true. 4th of July parties, Judge Mitchell has at his house and hosts everybody, and it really is a community.
Some of my colleagues. I work downtown at the main criminal courthouse. We have a lunchroom. Most of the judges eat lunch with one another. In my 17 years on the bench, I've never gone to the lunchroom because my choice is hang out with my colleagues on the bench or interact with my friends like Eric and Mario and Miguel and name after name after name. That's an easy choice for me to make.
Do you have any statistics? How many total members have there been at the club over the years?
Last time I looked, we were well over 500. What is interesting as well is some of those 500 continue to run with us on a regular basis. Some of those 500, have gone off and disappeared. But, I'm confident to say that the people who stick with the program enjoy a greater degree of success in maintaining their sobriety, because there is a profound safety net that our program offers.
I have to say, I've been trying to help underserved populations through medical care, over the last decade. And, medications are very important, and therapy and so forth. But there's programs like this are able to help people in a deeper way than any pill or any medication or any therapist possibly could.
And Mike, if I could interject, one of the things that I've learned in life is, I can go to a school and give a talk, and, someone comes into my courtroom and I can lecture them on what they are doing right or wrong in their lives. I'm not kidding myself. Those very brief encounters rarely change lives. You change a life by making a sustained investment over time. And with that understanding, the program allows us to do that, because There is no end date. We monitor you 3 times a week. We go overseas together where we're living in the same hotels and sharing the same incredible experiences, where you're sitting around having meals with one another. It's those endless series of connections that ultimately, I think, transform a person.
Right. Well, healthcare, we invest so much money in those simple, brief interactions that you were referring to. And I think there's a lot to be learned from program models like this. I did want to talk a little bit about the international programs that you've done. Every year, the Skid Row Run Club takes an international trip to a marathon together. Eric, where have you gone so far?
So I've gone to Ecuador, but we've also done a few other trips, like here stateside, and we rode bikes from San Francisco back down to LA. We did a run in the San Quentin prison, and that was life-changing for me. We've taken a few trips.
And this year, Egypt, right?
Egypt, yeah. Looking forward to that one.
And Judge, what are the other places that the club has gone?
We went to Ghana. That was followed up by Rome, Vietnam. We've been to London, to Berlin. Eric failed to mention that, yes, we ran in the Amazon in Ecuador, but then we also spent a week in the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Which was, an incredible experience. And obviously during COVID, we couldn't internationally travel. And that's why, as Eric indicated, we rode our bikes from San Francisco to Los Angeles over the course of a week. So we've tried to, in this pandemic, still do things that would be experiences that you would be able to return to over and over again throughout one's life.
I think it's fair to say that these are travel opportunities that many of the members of the club probably would not have otherwise.
It also communicates to the people in the running club that you are important enough. We value you as a human being sufficiently that we want you to have an incredible experience going overseas. We want to spend the money that is necessary to get you there. And so, I think it means much more than me saying, oh, I really care about you, I love you, etc. But if I can take you, to Jordan, to Israel, to Berlin, that's making that statement on a much more meaningful level.
Well, I'm going to use that as a transition to ask Eric, in his role as a board member, the club needs a way to support people going on these trips, because it's heavily subsidized for those, to make sure that everyone who wants to attend can do so. Eric, what sort of fundraising opportunities are there with the Skid Row Run Club?
We do show the documentary as much as possible, and I know every time there's a showing of the documentaries, there's a lot of great people out there that want to see their money go to something that they're proud of, and I think deep down inside, all of us really want to be of service somehow, some way, and I think there's some great people out there that might not know of another way because they're so busy, and so they donate.
The movie that Eric is referring to, Skid Row Marathon, has been an absolute godsend for us in terms of financially making these international trips possible. The movie is on Amazon. It's playing on airlines around the world. And we get contributions from people all over the world once they've seen that movie.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a link to that on the website, and also to the general Skid Row Run Club page for anybody who does want to donate or learn more, or consider being part of the club, because it is open to anybody who's interested in coming out to join. So it is Thanksgiving season, and to close things out, maybe if each of you could just say what you appreciate this year, and what you hope people will take away this year for the holiday season with all the things that our country is facing now. Eric, if you want to start.
Sure. I am, first of all, I'm just so grateful for my health. I am grateful to be sober. I am so grateful for friends and all the connections that I've made in sobriety. And I'm grateful to be able to share this with my family. And little by little, my family's getting involved. My fiance, she was my girlfriend. She's now my fiance.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she's really involved in the running club. And our girls we pulled in the other day after we came in from an expo, and our oldest daughter, Destiny, she said, next year I'm going to start running with the club. So I love that. I'm so grateful for that.
I am grateful to have this program in my life. It gives me a reason to wake up every day. And on the days that we run, on Mondays and Thursdays, I get up at 2:30 in the morning. And believe it or not, it's easy to get up that early, to come downtown and run. And I'm grateful to have that type of purpose, that type of meaning in my life. That oftentimes people, at my stage in life are, what am I going to do when I retire? And it's the sort of what am I going to do when they put me out to pasture? I am so far away from being put out to pasture because of the running club and the people like Eric who are involved in my life that, I'm tremendously grateful for that.
Well, it's great to hear. It is such an honor to be part of the club as a participant, to have had the opportunity to speak with you today. I've been in the club, as I mentioned, for 9 months, and it is the most meaningful new thing I've done in the last several years. So I really feel grateful to have had an opportunity to learn about it and become part of it this past year. So I want to thank you both for joining today. Eric Barrera and Judge Craig Mitchell. If you found today's discussion engaging, please do search and subscribe to the Healthy Skeptic MD. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, everyone, and we'll pick it up again in a couple of weeks.